Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brownish Live. As you can tell, I'm co-hostless right now. She's running a little late, so we will give her a pass. But I'm excited. We got a great episode today. If you don't know already what happened this weekend, then I feel like we have to take your Latino, Latinx, Latin card away. You have to lose your brown card because this weekend we had Selena dropping, right? Even if you didn't grow up with Selena, like I didn't, and we're gonna talk about that with our guest. You had to get excited because this series dropped and has been number one on their top 10 for the last 3 days. If you haven't watched an episode, then what's wrong with you? Where are you? Where do you live? Under a rock? So let's bring him in. He is one of the executive producers of the series. Give it up for Jaime Davila. there's no claps. If you're waiting for the,
I know, I was like, hey, but no, thank you for having me.
So excited, man, dude! You dropped Thursday at midnight.
Yes,
Did you sleep at
I
midnight, or did you wait for it? Was it like Christmas? Like, here it goes. Was there a countdown? Like,
so my whole thing was I don't want the algorithm to know that I've turned on Netflix and haven't directly started to watch Selena the series, right? So we went to sleep. I didn't really sleep, but we woke up the next morning on Friday, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna watch it, and we're gonna watch it straight through. To make sure this algorithm knows that even though I've seen these episodes thousands of times, I wanted to count, right? Like I wanted to count. And then no, waking up Saturday was an indescribable feeling, right? To wake up and see that.
Well, Friday, because it drops Thursday night at midnight. So Friday, wake up. What's that feeling?
Friday, wake up and just sort of like it's out there, really nervous, right? Because we've been, my company Capanario produced this just ourselves, right? So I feel like a big I love all the writers who work so much hard on this. I love all the directors who work so hard on this. I love all the production staff, the cast, everyone works so hard on this. So I think Friday I was just nervous because I want this to go so well for everyone. I know they work so hard. They put so much of their time and effort into making something beautiful that I was really nervous. But but then on Friday it was great because Ted Sarandos, who's the CEO of Netflix, posted on Instagram that he was so proud of the show, that it was a fully Latinx and Mexican cast and crew, and he said it was a beautiful production, and I was like, all right, so that's good. I was excited about that. And then we're trending on Twitter we were number one on Friday night, and so that was really exciting. And so I don't know, there was all these sort of things happening that I was like, okay, it's exciting. People are watching it. They're engaging in the conversation about it. It's what we wanted. And so then, I was like, well, what does that mean? Because I was also like on Friday night, like on the popular section of Netflix and like the trending thing. Are we trending or popular? Because I think that's real time. I'm not sure.
Right. By the way, they need to work on that popular section because the popular section sometimes throws me because it'll be like shows that have just come out. So you'll be like, oh, Selena. And then all of a sudden some weird old movie that you're like, wait a second, what? The other day I saw like Little Nicky with Adam Sandler. Not a knock on Adam Sandler or Little Nicky, but I'm like, how is this popular right now? This is a 20-year-old movie.
I'm with you. Like, I don't understand it at all. And then yet I'm desperate to be on it, right? I'm like, I don't know what this is or who controls it. I need to get behind this velvet rope. I need to be trending on your service. And that was really exciting. So then I went to bed Friday night just sort of hoping and praying that we would get a good result, And
awesome,
then
man.
that morning I have twin sons who are very young and woke up early. They woke my wife and I up pretty early and then, look at my phone and I had a message from a friend of mine who said, you should probably, check out the top 10. And it was really exciting, we were number one in the United States. We've been number one since we launched. We've been number one in Mexico since we launched. We've been number one basically all across Latin America since we launched. And it's just, it's really exciting. I'm really proud of everyone who worked so hard on it. I'm just one guy. I get to talk to you right now, but so many people worked on this. So many, my partner, Rico Martinez, Lisa Matsukawa produced this, the writers, Moises, Hiro, the director, the whole cast. I mean, it's just like so many people work so hard on it. So yeah, I was pretty stoked.
Which is huge because we were talking about it before the show, but like we haven't had a quote unquote Latinx show in the top spot. Like in the top 10, we've seen Gentefied, I think, chart as high as 5 or 4. Mr. Iglesias hit 3. So this is the first time we're seeing, and like, first of all, you're seeing Christian, like her face, like, because sometimes she's the cover art, as a brown person in the number 1 spot, which is huge.
No, it is, exactly. Thank you for saying that, because yeah, it's huge. I mean, we're beating movies and number 1 in movies and TV, right? So all the choices that people have, they are watching our show. And again, I think this is why I created my company in the first place, right? Which was I know that there is a Latino audience who wants to see our content, but I also know writ large there's a larger audience of people that want to see our stories and learn about our community. And I just think that's what's so exciting, right? So I think what hopefully this does is that it opens the doors for everyone, right? Because again, Selena the series is very specific, right? It's about a singer that we all know and love and her family. And hopefully what this does is that it shows a market so that we can make more what's great about your show, Brownish, is obviously it talks about like there's so many types of Latinos and there's so many words. And I think that's what hopefully this does. Hopefully it opens up to Hollywood to sort of, all these execs who said no to the project, are turning on their TV, their Netflixes today and being like, oh, Selena the series, that's number 1. And like, yeah, a lot of you said no. And so it just, again,
what we try to do at Brownish is we try to show the encompassing, like, because we are very divided. Let's be honest. Like the Latin market is very divided because Puerto Ricans are different from Mexicans. Mexicans are different from Guatemalans. Guatemalans are different from Panamanians, and so forth and so forth. And I love that you're like, oh, we taking Selena as someone who we all know and love. That's not necessarily true because growing up, I didn't know Selena. I grew up on the East Coast. Puerto Rican, Guatemalan.
Yeah.
She's Tejano music.
Yep.
That was not listened to in our house. Like the first time I knew of the Selena Quintanilla legend was the movie. I just remember because it was Jennifer Lopez. So Puerto Ricans were like, oh, what is she doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember the uproar. That's what makes me laugh. Cause like, and I told you, don't look at the negative comments. Cause like now it's like, oh, Christian, she was no Selena, but that's the same thing that was said about J-Lo when she played the character. Like you're never going to get 100% the person. So stop. Can we stop doing that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, by the way, like that's what I'm excited about. Like when J-Lo was Selena, everyone was like, she's not. Oh, hey, Sasha.
Hey, are we talking about Selena?
We're talking about Selena. Anything for Selena.
For Selena.
Yeah. Hey, Sasha.
Hey, Jaime.
Yeah, but so like I didn't know Selena till J-Lo played her, and that's because Puerto Ricans were like, oh, J-Lo's doing it, and that was the first introduction I had to Selena.
What?
Yeah. Eric
played her. I knew Selena when she was Selena. I was a fan.
I didn't know this. We didn't listen to Tejano music. It was salsa, like Mark Anthony and Jerry Rivera. That was the ongoing joke in the family. Was like, we might be related to him. I don't know. It's like, okay. But Tejano music was brand new to us.
No, but like for me, yeah. I mean, I was born in McAllen, Texas. I spent a lot of my childhood in South Texas. Yeah, Selena and Los Dinos, Selena was everywhere. Like there was no world where you weren't. There wasn't a quinceañera, there wasn't a wedding, there wasn't a Tuesday homework session where you weren't hearing these jams, right? So yeah, for me it's exactly. I think to your point, Eric, that's what I hopefully is great about the show, right? Like we're premiering a show on Netflix, right, which is over 190 countries about a Mexican American family that changed the world, right? And so a lot of people in Japan don't know that. A lot of people in Japan are listening to Bad Bunny right now, not knowing that he's number 1 in the world right now because of the work that the Quintanillas did, right? Like, this is what's so cool about this story, right? That there are a lot of people who know about it, right? Who know about Selena, but there's a lot of people who don't know her story and how inspirational it is and how incredible it was. And I think this is what's also cool for the show, right? That we're on a global platform like Netflix, and now anyone around the world can see that, specifically, obviously the show is specifically about Mexican Americans, but writ large, any Latino can do it. And we have done it, and we'll continue to do it,
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
and I do love that you guys are telling the story of a family. Like, you watch the first two episodes, and it's this guy who's, hey kids, I'm gonna teach you music. I'm gonna teach you this, and not only teach you because like people, are like, oh, Selena was talented. Like, yeah, I know she was, but like this is a guy who my favorite. There's this scene where he's talking to his brother, and he's like, oh, this guy's looking for a truck driver. He goes, yeah, no, I'll drive trucks as long as it doesn't interfere with the band. And you're like, yeah, why weren't my parents this supportive?
Right.
Like this dude
Right.
is doing everything, but he's still his first priority is these kids in this band.
Yeah.
No, I think it's so exciting about the show. I think that's what I love about the show too, right? Especially part one, which is, focusing on, a lot more of the family, right? A lot more on Abraham and AB. And then I think as the 9 episodes progress in part one, you see more and more of Selena. You see her growing up. You see her sort of trying to question, should she rebel against her family? And then part two, obviously we explore a lot more of that. But yeah, I think that's what's so cool about this idea, right? Because you're showing a Mexican American family that loves each other, that supports each other, that works together. And I think, when you talk to the Quintanillas, we worked with Suzette on this project, they often will talk about that. Like they feel like, obviously they've had so much tragedy, but they feel like they've lived a dream. Like they got to work and have fun with their family 24/7. There's a line, I don't remember which episode it is, but it might be like episode 6 or 7, where Marcela says, families all over the world get to be with their families just once a year on vacation. We get to be on vacation basically all the time. And I just think there's something so beautiful about a family that loves each other, that supported each other. And honestly, that's been my experience as a Latino or as a Mexican American. Like my family's everywhere in my life. Like get out, like please, like leave me alone. But they're everywhere. And I don't know. I think it's cool to show that Selena also had that, that like, if you're a girl growing up in South Texas who loves her family, who loves having fun, it's like Selena was just like you. And that's really, I think, super interesting to show.
Yeah. I mean, and you could tell also with the series how they make it about the family. The movie, yeah, you got to see that they supported her and they loved her and it was all about her, but you get to see the intricacies of like how the family was really one, and Selena was just a representation of them, So that was a good thing to see. And I feel like with Selena, when I remember being 5 years old, because I grew up in the Dominican Republic. So yeah, granted, like bachata is like the number one thing over there, merengue. But because we only know Spanish, we are also influenced by the Mexican culture because we watch the Mexican telenovelas and stuff like that. So it's like what people don't understand is that the Mexican entertainment world is like the American entertainment world and the English world, right? So I remember seeing Selena when I was 5 years old and instantly falling in love with her, like seeing her in the screen and just being like, whatever she's doing to me to make me feel a certain type of way is what I want to make people feel. And like, you could tell with Selena that she loved what she did. There was no denying that. And it goes back to like what you're saying, and I'm sorry I was late, but it goes back to what you're saying with Bad Bunny being number one and Selena really being the person to carve that, because it was like, one thing that I realized is like, she's a Mexican American making Mexican music. And I think that what happens is like the assimilation, right? When you come to America, you're like, oh, I have to make English music because I'm American now, right? But they went back to their roots and were like, no, we have to, make music for the people that made it possible for us to be here,
And I think what's so cool about what you just said, Sasha, is that it's that infusion, right? Because they are Mexican and American. And so I think what was so cool about all the music, right? We talk about like, why do we keep listening to, Selena's songs, the songs that, her brother AB and produced, and later with Pete also wrote and produced. These are songs that like are new sounds. Like they're sounds that we hadn't heard before. They were combining cumbias, they were mixing sounds, they were combining pop with cumbia in a way that just made it so fun, right? So like it's, I think when we talk about like Selena and we're still singing those songs, like that's not a guarantee, that we would still be jamming to Como La Flor or Bitty Bitty Bom Bom, almost 30 years later. I mean, it's just like, that's not a guarantee. It's a testament to that infusion, right? And I hope that's what the show does, right? Like I hope what the show does is that it shows all Latinos, because we're all brownish, right? Like, hey, it's not it's either or, right? Like sometimes you're neither here nor from there. but it's also both and. You know, it's also you're both from here and from there. And from those, you can take the both of both and combine it into something beautiful and special. And that's something that only we can do in this country. That's only we as Latinos have that experience of being both outsiders and insiders. And I think that's really interesting. And I think honestly, that's what I have a good friend, Jeanette, who described it for me. And it's true. It's like Jeanette Godoy said this. It's our superpower, right? It's our superpower as Latinos to be both and. And I think, again, that what Selena does with her music, which was both and music, right? To people all over the world, because it's that combination. I think that's our power. And hopefully that's also a little bit what the show does, which is show people that, you can embrace both sides of you. And that's
no, you do. You definitely do that with the show. There's that scene where he's in the car and he plays the Spanish language music for her for the first time. Because I remember he turns the radio and they're all like, "Dad, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We like that. And he's like, "Hey, man," and he breaks it down for her exactly what you're saying. It's like, it's you're from there. That's where your roots are. But this is what we're gonna do. And I love that moment because as a Latino, like, I don't think I've ever seen anything broken down like that on television, on the screen, of like, you're from here, your roots are from there. All we're gonna do is bring them together and make this beautiful music. It is a superpower, and we've never seen that said that way on screen. It's always, like the stereotypical roles of like, oh, there's the bad guy, and sometimes the bad guy's just the bad guy because he's brown. Like, there's no reasoning to it.
No, and that's why I started this company, right? Sort of like to showcase it, like, hey, again, like when we're talking about, oftentimes in Hollywood, I don't think you've seen a show like Selena the series, right? Because I've never seen a show about a Mexican American family that's making music together. Like, that's never been a TV show I have ever seen. Meanwhile, like the Partridge Family, I mean, you can name like 4 white shows about that experience, right? Like, we've never had that show. And so that's really exciting for us, is to be able to showcase, like, hey, like, just Mexicans on TV who are doing things that are normal, right? Like, I love so many of my favorite episodes or favorite shows are like just like random scenes where you see Selena being just like us, right? Like they're on a crowded bus and, people are farting and she's wondering, can she taste it, right? Like, I just feel like that's so relatable. And so like, yes, like that is something that I often do with my family that I have never seen on screen, us talking about that, right? It's like, and I think that's what's so sometimes we forget the power in that, right? Sometimes we forget just in the power of like seeing Latinos just being themselves, being normal, being funny, being talented, being smart. We don't get to see that a lot on TV, right? And like, this is what the show does. It's like, this is a family that like, they get told no, they think and they figure it out. They work super hard. Like, that's the community that I know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know a lot of, I know gangbangers exist in, Narcos. Like, I'm very fortunate. I don't know a lot of Narcos. But like the majority of people that I know who are Latino or like remind me of the Quintanillas, and I think we need to see more of that on screen.
Absolutely. And I think also like, Selena dominated the 90s, right? With her music and stuff like that. And then she died, unfortunately, in 95. But you even see how, like, again, how her influence has influenced so many people. Like Aventura even talks about how influenced they are, like how she opened the doors because they are Dominican, Puerto Rican Americans that were like, you know what, we're just gonna make, bachata, right? And that opened those doors for them too. So it's just like, just seeing how slowly this family impacted the whole Latino community. And it's just, when I think about being Latino or what they call now Latinx, it's like, I think about Selena because she was an American who was like, going back to like being in those both worlds. It's like, you're the 200%. It's like, you're 100% American, but then you're like 100% Mexican or Dominican because that culture's in your face. So just being able to merge those two and that authenticity is like being yourself, telling the story, and then introducing the culture. And I think that's so important.
No, thank you for saying that. That's really, it's a testament to the writers and the directors who really work so hard to get that idea across, right? And to get that, I think just like that revolutionary idea across, right? Which is like, hey, how did Selena become Selena? A lot of hard work, right? Like we know Selena right now is like, oh, like, and even the JLo movie, I think what we really try to do in this one is really showcase like how much work it was, right? Like how much sacrifice, right? It was, you know, not having friends in school, right? Not being able to have that normal childhood. Selena didn't have a normal childhood, right? And yeah, she had fun and all these things, but I think that's what hopefully this shows, right? Like it's you need to sacrifice a lot to have this dream. And ultimately it's a reminder for myself even, right? Like, hey, like you got, you know, for me and my company, and I'm sure Eric and you guys relate to this a lot too. Like we get told no a lot. Like when you're a Latino in Hollywood, you get told no a lot. And so,
yeah, I think they say Hollywood's the land of 100 no's, and for us, it's even worse because we get it in English and Spanish, so it's 200. No.
They're like, no, and by the way, no as well. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
and no, it means the same in Spanish. You don't have to say it twice.
yeah.
but yeah, no, and I think that's what's so. It's like that's what's also so extraordinary. I think, right? Like, because when we think of Selena, we think of this legend. And she is, right? She is someone who opened the doors for everyone. But she was also just like this young girl from Corpus Christi, Texas, who, again, had to face a lot of difficulties, right? Like, you know, I think what's super interesting about this show, and we talk about it a little in part one, you know, is her drive to make an English album, right? Because she's an American. And the record label sort of pushing back, right? And sort of what you're allowed to do as a Latino, I often say people are like, they often ask us, right, sort of, what have you done in Spanish lately? And I think it's just so interesting that Selena had this journey that we can all relate to as well, right? That she also had to learn Spanish. And, you know, and I think hopefully Hollywood's asking more of these questions, right? Because, you know, we still do this with a lot of our Latin artists, right? They will often, you know, do collaborations in Spanish, stuff that they will never ask Casey Musgraves to do. And, you know, like Madonna Ciccione was not asked to sing in Italian. You know, Stephanie Germanotta was not asked to sing in Italian, you know, right. But Selena Quintanilla was asked to sing in Spanish. And so I think we have to also, hopefully what this show does is sort of showcase that, like, hey, things were rough then. They haven't really changed as much now. Like, let's be part of that change in the future.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, no, you had some great scenes where, and I don't want to give too much away for the people that didn't see, but like talking about the English album, like with the labels, like, it's only gold. She's got to go platinum. And I just loved Abraham's like, well, I guess we're going platinum then, guys. We're gonna.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. That's how I'm gonna feel, right? Where it's like, oh, I had a #1 show, and they're gonna be like, yeah, but did you have a #1 show for like this many days? It's like, all right, well, I guess I'll work towards that now. That'll be my new goal.
Yeah. I do have to say, Ricardo as Abraham had some of the best lines, and I think I texted you. I was like, dude, I was laughing out loud because, and even if you're not Mexican, like, you get the show because he's your dad. The way he talks to his kids just made me laugh. When there's that one scene where AB hears a song for the first time, he goes, "Yo, our song," and he's like, "Yeah, man. A lot of people have #1 hits. Where's the next one?" Yeah. Like, he doesn't let him gab those things, or even the crowd control. Dad, I think we need crowd control. Oh, wow. Now you got a crowd? Now you want to control it? Like, he just has some great lines of like, dude, come on.
Yeah. I think Abraham is every immigrant dad. Like, so many of my friends who are not Mexican have texted me the same thing, being like, this is my dad. Like, I relate to this guy. And I think Ricardo just nails it. I think he does such a great job. And, you know, what's great is that he's from that area, you know, so he's from San Antonio. So he's very close to Corpus. He was born the same year that Selena was born. Wow. So, you know, he really brings to it a really great perspective that makes it obviously authentic, but also when I see what you see, Eric, I see the same thing. It's like, it just feels so real. Like, I see my uncles and family when I see, you know, Ricardo and Sadie, who plays Marcela, talking and dancing. Like, Marcela's hair for the later half of part 1 was just reminding me of South Texas so much, and it was like my favorite thing of all time. It just reminded, like, just that short hair she had. I was like, yep, that was every mom of my friends, and I loved it. It was like, that was my favorite. Yeah. But yeah, it's a testament, really. You know, the writers did such a good job. You know, the writers' room was all Latinx, all Mexican American, Latino. You know, I don't know, they all identify in different ways. Whatever you identify with, you're part of the team. And you know, majority women. I think a third were LGBTQ plus. So, I mean, it was just like a really great, diverse room that really worked so hard, you know, on top of the research we had working with Suzette, with also independent research, to really just try to tell, you know, a really compelling story. Because again, I think so many people think they know the Selena story, right? Because they've seen the movie. And I think what we really want to showcase, because something the movie doesn't, in the movie, you know, AB and Suzette don't exist. They are not part of the story. And it's, you know, I think that's a tragedy. I mean, AB wrote all those songs. And I think it's also really great, not just for like young Latinas to get inspired from the show, but also young Latinos to see, you know, a Mexican-American a songwriter who changed the world. I think that's also, we don't see that ever. You know, someone was saying, it's like, oh, there's a lot of AB. It's like, yeah, name another character that you've ever seen on film or TV like AB. Like, it just doesn't exist. So that,
yeah,
you know,
I really love the AB storyline, and I know people were like, "Oh, it should be about Selena, it should be about AB," but like, there's this one line AB has that, like, that really just took. When I tell you, it took the wind out of me, and teary eyed and everything. And I'll admit it, I was like, "Wow!" Like they're talking about. I think they're at this point where they're with the label, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because I don't remember the exact line, but he's like, "Listen, they're gonna keep messing with you. But if I don't deliver, they're not gonna mess with me no more." And it was just like, whoa, like that, like you get the weight and the pressure on him, because she's the star, and he wants her to keep being a star, and he wants to keep working with her. But if he like he says, like, if he doesn't deliver an album, we'll just get somebody else. Like, because there's a couple times in the show that they try to, like, oh, we got this other writer, he's gonna come on, and they're like, no, it's family. Our family does it.
Especially in part 2. I think that's something we explore even further in part 2, right? Which is that journey for AB to be like, it's exactly what he said, right? It's like, and Selena, I mean, look, so unfortunate we can't talk to her, but, you know, talking to her family, it's that she recognized that too, right? She recognized that it's like, you know, she was going to be this star, and how do you keep your family around with that when so much of Hollywood's like, oh, we'll just give you this Grammy Award winner. It's like, well, you know, my brother, you know, eventually he does, but it's like, we would have won Grammys if we had been part of the system earlier, you know. It's like, so I think that's what's also so cool about the Quintanillas, right? Like, AB, you know, didn't give up, right? And kept writing hit songs. And again, I think what's so cool about, you know, something we explore in the series too, like, Selena is Selena but it used to be Selena y los Dinos, right? And, you know, when we talk about Selena y los Dinos, it's like, well, who were Los Dinos, right? Like, this was a story really of obviously a solo artist for Selena, but also of a band. And I think, you know, it's so beautiful to see that story of, you know, a guy who wrote all the music, how they eventually got Joe and Pete to join the band. I think that's such a cool story. You know, because Selena was losing, you know, everyone should watch the show, but, you know, we find out, you know, how the band gets bigger. You know, so I just think those are like fun little factoids that, again, tell you the full story of this family, right? And so, and again, I think for all the people that I've heard that same thing, being like, oh, well, there's a lot of, you know, AB in the early episodes. It's like, just keep watching, you know, like, Selena will meet her as 7 years old, you know, her favorite thing. It's like, we're getting to know her as she gets older and older. And as she gets older and older, she has to find her voice, you know, that's part of her journey. And I think that's what's really exciting about, obviously, you know, I'm teasing part 2 here, but, you know, get excited, because I think the whole journey for her as a character is just so, for her, for AB, for Abraham, for everyone, you know, we really want to make sure that this felt like, you know, like a Parenthood or something like that. Like, you know, a show that really explored different parts of Latinidad through race, age, you know, all these different things.
Yeah, and you know what? Going back to what you said earlier, like, when we think about Selena, we think about the legend, right? Like, she was legendary. And I think that once you are a Latina in this industry, right, like, you have to work like 30 times more. And I think that, you know, her having her family behind her just really molded her to be this big supernova star that, like, her music transcended through so many Latino communities and Latino countries, you know. And another thing, being a Selena fan, is like, you know, that she was going through her awkward stages as well, right? And I love how you guys put that in the series. Like, that is important. Like, man, I look through videos all the time. I would periodically, sometimes I'll just like go on YouTube, even before the series, okay? Before anything, I will go on YouTube and I would just like go into these moments where I'm just like going into a Selena rabbit hole where I'm just like, oh my gosh, she did this, she did that, and you get to see her awkward stages, like everyone, and it's so refreshing because that is so relatable. You know, you don't just start off being this legend, you work towards being a legend, and you can see that she was like, you know, she'll tell her dad like, no one listens to that, like no one listens to that. He's like, but this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
You know? Like, but what is Donna Summer doing? What is this? You know, this is what we're gonna do. You know,
yeah, exactly. No, and I think what's so cool about all her looks and her, you know, I love the scene where she's like, you know, making out with her hand, practicing kissing, because it's like we all did that, right? It's like it's like she, you know, she's a legend, but she was also flesh and blood, and I think that's the point of the show, right? Like exactly what you said earlier about like a family who was behind her, right? Like that's what we all need, right? Like we all need a you know, Abraham was really tough, but he was also a dad who was like, yeah, change your look, change your hair, try new clothing, right? Like, he was also a dad who was like, yeah, like you have this dream, like let me make it happen, right? Like that's a beautiful thing, right? And I think that's what's so cool about the show. It's like, you know, when you're a Latina, often you don't get that choice, right? You know, a lot of stricter parents than Abraham are out there, right? We could say Abraham's strict, but like there's a lot of parents out there who's like, you can't wear that, you can't do this, you can't change your hair color. And, you know, I think what was so cool about, you know, what Abraham and the entire Quintanillas did, and again, this is maybe a little bit more of their Americanness versus their Mexicanness, was giving their kids that ability to sort of explore that, right? And explore that freedom. And again, be supportive of that. You know, I love one of the episodes, I think it's episode 8, where she has like a terrible haircut, and basically Abraham's like, well, I like it, but who knows about the label, right? It's just like this great, like, you know, it's just sort of like, yeah, like, thank you at least for that, Dad, right? Like, thank you for, and I think that's what, you know, again, like, there wouldn't be, honestly, like so many famous people that we know today, there's a lot of them, obviously, that, you know, didn't have family support, but so many other people that we know, like half the celebrities, and I have this happens to me all the time in Hollywood where like I'll love an actor and then I'll Google them and it turns out like their mother was super famous. And I was like, I had no idea. Like it just like worked out like Melanie Griffith. I didn't realize her mom was Tippi Hedren. And so it's like, it's like 3 generations now of actresses that, you know, it's like we you know, we don't, that's awesome, right? That like that exists. And that's what we should have for our community too, right? Like that sort of like support, that love of also of the arts, right? Of, you know, because like you see that with Abraham's brother when he's just like, what are you doing with the band? Like, hey, it's like, hey, no, like making art is also cool, right? And hard as Eric, you know, as we all know, but it's fun and you know, it's enjoyable.
So how involved were you with the casting process? Because you know there is pressure to make these characters sort of seem or look like their counterparts.
Yeah, so I mean, look, so as the company behind it, like the studio behind it, you know, we really wanted to make sure we hired a great casting director, right? To sort of had the experience, who had the knowledge of this community, who sort of could tap into not only like existing networks of the Latino community in Hollywood, but also like new networks. So we worked with a casting director named Carla Houle, who I love. Mm-hmm. So she did Coco. She does everything Latino in Hollywood. And she's a Mexican, but also grew up in Texas. So she has a great love of Selena. And so we worked with her. And then Rico Martinez, my producing partner on the series, you know, who was sort of like, I couldn't have done this without Rico at all. Rico really, it took more over on the casting side with Carla and the family, you know, to look over and audition people. And yeah, it was hard, right? We really wanted to make sure, you know, like they looked as close as possible, but also not get married to that, right? Because, you know, you also want to make sure that they're the best actors, right? You also want to make sure that, like, you know, because it's hard, right? Like the Quintanillas are very specific, like, you know, it's like any casting. So we really focused on making sure we got the best people for the roles that could really sell this journey, the emotions behind it, the essence of the characters. And yeah, I'm ultimately really, really proud of the cast, right? Like not only do I think they all crushed it, they all worked super hard. Like, you know, Gabe had to learn the bass. Noemi had to learn the drums. So when you're seeing them playing on screen, like
they're playing.
They're playing. You know, Jesse, who plays Chris, he plays the guitar, but he had to learn all the new songs. You know, so it was a lot of work on their part to like become a band. And then for Christian, obviously, it was tons of dance, you know, choreography, tons of research. I mean, And also what they all did, we gave them packets of videos and stuff like that. So they would see, how they talked, how they carried themselves. So, they all deserve so much kudos because they worked so hard to try to capture, the realities of being, Mexican American in the 80s and 90s.
Mhm.
Now I gotta ask because I know you'll sit through these tapes and you'll see Ricardo and you're like, oh my God, he's so great because he's loving but he's tough, and then you see Christian and you're like, oh, she's got it. And what is the thought process when you cast Yolanda? Like, you're like, oh, I hate her. She's got it. Like, because I know I'm not the only one. As soon as they're like, oh, we gotta get a fan club, and she makes the phone call. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh no, not her.
Yeah, right.
And Natasha is great. Natasha's a great comedian too. Like, she has a great run in Curb Your Enthusiasm last night. Honestly, when we saw, and look, because I think the show's really about the Quintanillas and the family, right? And so you can't tell that story without Yolanda. And so even with Yolanda, it was really important for us to be like, you're going to be a character, but you're not like the star of the show. Like, you're just like this person that, did something terrible, right? And so it was sort of hard a lot of people were going really over the top with it, right? Like, a lot of people were going, Natasha just did it really well. Natasha just made it like, I think really what we're trying to go for Yolanda is just like a general like unease. And I feel that.
Oh, you got it.
Like, watching her was a sort of like, I was like, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling a tension that I didn't feel. And from the very beginning, you felt that with her tape. And then, when she put on the wig, it was just like, oh my God. Yeah. Like,
I'm pretty sure millions of people across the country yelled, don't trust her. Right? As soon as they saw her.
No, that's the thing. I was in the edit watching a very rough cut and said the same thing. It's like, I remember in the OJ show when he's like, it's like Chris Darden is asking him to put on the glove, and you're like, Sterling K. Brown, stop! Don't let him put on the glove. Right. It's like the same thing. I'm like, Noemi, do not call Yolanda. But no, I think Carla really did an amazing job of and a really an impossible task, right? Because I think, as we were wrestling with the J-Lo thing, like when J-Lo was cast, there was like protests. It was crazy, right? So we were really expecting a lot. And I think Carla, we really we've gotten some comments, obviously, because, you're never going to, please everyone. But we really haven't gotten that many comments. And I think it's a testament to the work that Carla did.
Also, like, I know that the Quintanillas, because they were always on the road, they had a lot of videos, a lot of tapes. Did you get to see all of them or most of them? Like, did you guys sit there and get to see Selena's spirit? And did Christian watch those videos to embody her? Like, how was that?
So Christian definitely watched a lot of videos. There's what's so great about doing bio series about people from like the 80s onwards is that there's so much interviews, like so many. And so what's great is that Selena has a lot of those. And the family definitely shared a lot of stuff with us that they've never shared before. And so that was a really fun process. I mean, I think, it was, we were able to hear, in the show, you see Selena sing Feelings. I have heard the real recording of 7-year-old Selena singing Feelings. Wow. And it's as powerful as you would think. And so, we were very, very fortunate to get the access to that Suzette gave us the time. And because, it's just very hard for them, right? It's very hard to put yourself out there and put yourself on screen. Like, it's your story, and, there was a lot of people that, have a lot of strong opinions on the family. And, my experience with them was just, they are awesome. They reminded me of my family. Like, they're so funny, so smart, so talented. I mean, I really, and yeah, they're tough, but like, I don't know, I'm tough too. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, I think all of us have that in us, right? And I think it's because as a community, we've been hardened, it's like, it's not like we get every opportunity. It's not like everything comes to us super easily. So yeah, we're tougher than other people. But I just think that, like, I understand it. And I really, AB, Suzette, Mr. Quintanilla, Marcela, they're all personal heroes of mine, and they always have been, right? Because I think, especially when I grew up in South Texas, I knew about like Pete and Joe and AB, like Abraham, like they were all royalty, and so it was really, really cool to get to meet them and work with them, and I don't know. It's like
not only tough, because I don't want people to leave here thinking like, oh, Abraham is some sort of like Joe Jackson, because he definitely what I loved most about him, like, yeah, he was tough, like, we got to practice, we got to do this, but what I did love, exactly what you said, like, you know, you become hardened and you hear all the no's, but I loved that in the series he always found a way to counter that obstacle. Like, if even from the beginning with the lights, like that scene to me was like, oh my god, oh no, yeah, we got it, we don't worry about it, we're gonna figure this out. You know, him building the truck because we gotta transport this equipment. To that one scene where she's playing in the town and then they have another concert going. Hey, we're gonna sell this out. We're gonna figure this out, guys. Like, this is the mentality of, don't worry, we're gonna come up with a plan.
Yeah,
exactly. Which is just like, and I think that's what's so great about him in real life, but him as I think Ricardo's portrayal, right? Because yeah, exactly. Like, he's tough, but he's also inspiring his kids. You know, it's like when he's talking to his son AB, right? His son AB had just lost, you know, in episode 2, like 2 songs that he had been promised by this really big songwriter. And Ricardo sits down and just, hey, who's Luis Silva? It's like, what are you trying to do, Dad? Like, what every dad does, which is sort of like trying to ask you questions. It's like, just tell me what the answer is. Like, stop trying to, like, so it's like, well, what is he? It's like, I don't know. It's like, is he a man? It's like, yeah. It's like, are you a man? It's like, yeah. And I just think that's such a beautiful, inspirational message, right? Like, anyone you see on TV, anyone you see, like, anyone who's watching this right now and seeing me, it's like, I'm human. I'm just like you. And like, it's such a beautiful thing just to be like, you can do that. Like, you know, all the songwriters that we know that have all popular songs, most of them are not Mexican American. But I hope what this show shows is that, like, you can hang with these people, right? Like, you can be a part of this group. Right. And I think that's what Abraham and Marcela did for their kids, right? They inspired them. And yeah, they're like, again, like, when you know that your kids have dreams to become musical stars or they have that talent, you got to push them, right? Like, I don't know, like, I look at my kids today, like, if I don't push them, like, they're just going to be watching Peppa Pig all day, right? Like, there's not like a thing where they're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get working on math and numbers. So I really think Ricardo crushed it and hopefully shows a more nuanced portrayal of Abraham, right? Which is like, yeah, tough, but loved his kids, lived his dream, and you know, inspired them.
Yeah, I think that's important too, right? Just to show the parental figure just being tough and also being supportive, because sometimes it's like either one or the other. But it was always like he was tough, but also like Selena would always be like, okay, I know you're tough, but like, we're gonna soften you, you know? And I love to see that family dynamic, because it's so that one, people love seeing families together, and 2, if you have a big family, that's so relatable, you know? And being able, it's just like being able to like pull the curtain and just be like, oh my God, this is what she was like. And, you know, you just feel a little closer to her. And I think that was important for people like me who are definitely her fans.
Well, thank you for saying that. Because yeah, I think we work so hard to showcase that, right? To showcase that family, that love. Because look, I mean, like, I'm a huge Selena fan, right? Like, I grew up in South Texas in the 80s and 90s, and I'm obsessed with Selena. And so I really, really wanted to work hard to show this beautiful family. And we're ultimately just really proud of the production, and all the people that work so hard on it. Because again, I think what we're showcasing is, you know, we as Latinos can do it, right? We can have the #1 show on Netflix in the US and Mexico. Like, we've broken that ceiling. Like, no one can say that to us anymore, being like, well, is there an audience? It's like, yep.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's the power of what, you know, this weekend, right? And I just don't want us to lose sight of that, right? And I think, you know, obviously I want people to keep watching and conversation. And by the way, if people are watching this and don't love the show, that's okay, right? Like, I think that's also part of what my company is fighting for, right? The right for Latinos to be able to just have so many shows that we don't feel the obligation to be like, oh, I love it for every show, you know? Like, it's okay. You don't have to like something in the series. But just know that, like, when you watch it, you're also helping us prove to Hollywood that we can break barriers. And I think that's the key here. Like, giving, you know, because Hollywood's obsessed with data, right? That's all I hear.
Yeah.
Like data. And it's like, well, here's the data that shows we can do it. And like, that, and exactly what you guys are building to at Brownish, right? It's like all the talent you guys find and everything. It's just like, we are part of the mainstream. Like we're already here. We're in the US. We're part of it. Like show us that. Like show us as part of the fabric. Show us as part of that mainstream. It's exciting to be a little part of that, right? And I get to work alongside so many other people in Hollywood that are fighting every day to, try to make change happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we got somebody here. They said they love the show. I felt exactly what you guys described about showing they were real and we can relate to them.
Yeah.
Not to switch gears too much because I know I'm excited for you in the Selena series, but I do want to talk to you a little bit about you and Campanario because then first of all, congrats on the LA Times artitle. You're
Yes.
I thought I was going to change you. I thought I was going to start seeing billboards of you.
I don't text you back. I wait 5 minutes before I text you back now, Eric. That's my diva move. I'm like, I don't want to, but just exactly.
No, but what I've been so impressed about your company is you guys haven't pigeonholed yourselves or just carved out one niche. Like Selena is definitely a drama biography type series, and then you've done Mexican Dynasties, which is more reality, and there was a show on Amazon Prime, how to survive being single,
yes,
which was a comedy. So like you have really sort of broadened what you guys are trying to do over at Campanario, which I first of all I give you kudos to. It's not like you're just doing this one thing. Like this is all we do, guys. We're just doing bio. Drama.
If anyone knows any other Mexican Americans from South Texas that made songs, that's all I do. So like, I need help. So far, I found the quintanillas. I need more. But no, I think that's why I started the company Campanario, right? Like a big part of why I started the company was, a lot of people when I started this were like, oh, like you're creating Latino content that's so niche, like that's so like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, like, like there are rich Latinos, there are poor Latinos, there are white Latinos, there are black Latinos. Like I'm starting Campanario like they started Warner Brothers in the early days or Universal, right? Which is like, yeah, we make horror movies, but we make everything because Latinos are part of everything, right? So what we try to really do at Campanario is like, hey, look, I know there are Latinos who love are going to be inspired and love family dramas. I know a lot of Latinos too are going to be like, no. Like I want like a comedy. I want to see, some, laugh out loud stuff. And so that's what we try to do as a company, right? We really try to showcase that like, hey, Latinos are diverse. We're monolithic. We can create all types of shows. So we work in scripted and unscripted. And we also work in Latin America and the US, right? So I've also been inspired by Selena. And I think that's the other thing for us Latinos, right? It's like we don't just have one market, we have two markets. And so, I'm really excited that, we also have a very strong international business where we do sort of what we try to do in the US, which is create content for Latin America that hasn't been created before, right? So, and, in Latin America, a lot of the stuff was telenovelas that you grew up with, Sasha, that I did too. But, these we're trying to do on the Spanish side is really create like, what's the Mexican Wonder Years? What's the Mexican weeds, it's like these type of things that, the Mexican audience, the Latin American audience also wants, right? They also want good quality content. So I'm excited that Campanario is having some success because, it's a company of 6 people who have all believed in the vision and believed in the mission and worked super hard to make it happen. And I'm honored every day that they, believe in this mission and work towards that goal. And I'm really proud that we're sort of showcasing that, right? And hopefully the message of my company Campanario is that like right now we're doing obviously everything through a Latinx lens, but 10, 15, 20 years from now, like that's just going to be mainstream. That's just like mainstream lens, right? So, as Eric knows me better, it's sort of like I'm pretty crazy and I have high goals. It's like, yeah, I want Campanario to be like a major player studio. Like, why not? Why can't it be like a future Warner Brothers, right? And I think you do that by showcasing wide range of content, and that's what's really fun for us, right? So yeah, we have like a project in development at ABC with a great writer named Aaron Cerna. Another great it's just like, I'm very fortunate what I get to do, because I get to work with amazing Latinos. And it's just like, Hollywood often say to me, it's like, where's the talent? And it's like, well, just hang out with me for like an hour. Cause like, I'm constantly reading something or seeing a reel or being amazed by our community. Like, this has been the best thing about my job, which is I get a front row seat into our community and the talent that we have. And it really is just like beautiful and amazing. And like Hollywood 5 years from now is going to be so different. And I'm excited to be a very small part of that change. But that's my goal, right? Like we just got to keep working. And, I feel very similar to Abraham. Like my wife this weekend was just like, you have the #1 show. So like, be excited. And I'm like, I know, but like, how long is it? I mean, I got to figure out what the next one is. Like, this is not, yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? So, like that's my job. Like, that's my mission, right? Not to give up and to keep going. And I'm excited to do that.
That's super inspiring. Awesome. That is super inspiring, especially, going back to what you said, like having a show that broke barriers in both the Latino world and the American world. And we've been, as the Latinx community have been looking for that content that would do that. And Selena was the one. So that congratulations to you, because that's super inspiring.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for watching it. And I'm really excited about it. And again, I'm really excited about just the future of everything. And, again, I'm excited that Eric thought he was getting Jaime Camille. He got Jaime Davila. I'm sorry in advance for your lowest rated show ever, but
No, this is a great one, man. I'm telling you, I'm excited for Selena. And what I love about you, man, is I've known you for a little bit now. You're so humble throughout this whole process. Like even like talking about like I've gotten some success, dude. #1 show on Netflix 3 days straight now. Like if you're not walking into meetings singing "Beady Beady Bom Bom," I'm gonna be mad at you.
I'm getting a #1 tattooed on my forehead, so it's just like automatic. Look, thank you for saying that, Eric. But no, I'm really conscious of that. Like, I'm proud of what we accomplished, but like I cannot do this alone. And I did not do this alone. I had so many people work so hard on this, and even at Campanario, like it's a family company. I rated the Quintanillas. Like my dad and I co-founded the company, and it's something. I don't know. I'm just very conscious of the Selena story, which is like no one person does it alone. And so I'm very proud that I have a community. I'm proud that, I know you, Eric, and I'm excited, stuff we're working on. And Sasha, I'm just meeting you for the first time, but I already like you more than Eric. So like, so this is like, this is what we got to do. Thank you, Ariana. That's very true. Everyone who's saying this tough stuff to me, it's like, you enjoy it for me. I'll be the one still working hard and making sure that
look, there's nothing wrong with working hard, but you really do have to take these moments of just breathing it in. Because sometimes, I'm like you, where you keep your head down and you like work, and like you'll achieve something. And like my wife is, I give her all the props, because there's been times like, I shot my HBO special, right? And I'm just like work mode, and a special airs, and I'm like, all right, what's next? And she's the one that stops me and goes, hey man, look around. Take this in. This is huge. And then tomorrow you can go back to work. But you just take this moment in for 1 second. Because then what are you working for? You're just going to be tireless. And then at the end, it's like you didn't enjoy any of it.
No, that's true. No, I think that's the problem right now. Where it's sort of like, and I'm also very conscious. It's like, it's weird times and everything. But yeah, I will definitely celebrate. I will definitely, I need to figure out. I think I'm going to buy myself a PlayStation 5. I think that's going to be
there you go.
So yeah, and that's going to be the problem. It's going to be like, I'm going to be playing too much PlayStation 5 and I should be working. And it's like, what do you want? I mean, Eric told me to enjoy the moment. What?
I'm not gonna get return phone calls. Like, dude, you told me to enjoy this. Like, hell no.
No, the balance is definitely key. Just being present and just being able to be like, yo, I did that. Like, look back and be like, you know what? Where were you before this? And like, what were your goals? And like, look where you are.
And we all did that, by the way. It's not just me. Like, we all did that. Like, as a community, everyone who supported it, watched it. And again, we're all showing to Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Like Selena inspired us, and like we're gonna take that inspiration to the future and just be like, we're gonna take it over. Like,
Absolutely.
but like it's the thing. It's like we're already like Hollywood is already more Latino than anything else. It's just like not on screen. So like we're just gonna make it more on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Thank you, Jaime, for spending this time with us. Guys, please go. If you haven't already, go check out the series. The Selena series is streaming now on Netflix. If you have trouble finding it, just scroll down to the top 10 and it's number 1, guys. It's right there, first one.
Yeah.
And click and play. Seriously, Jaime, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Wishing you more continued success, more number 1s. But yeah, take this moment, man. Sing a little bitty bitty mama and have a little drink.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for reminding me of that, and thank you guys for allowing me to be on your show. Whoever canceled, I appreciate it, and you'll have to have me back on for part 2. So
definitely,
absolutely. I'm
all
excited.
right, man. Thanks so much.
Bye.
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 Oh, that was a fun one, and I'm gonna let it slide that you were late, Sasha.
Man, I was late. We
didn't get to do our pre-show talk.
I know. So we don't have our post-show talk. So I ended up being one of the contestants for the HBO Latino Comedy Festival.
Wait, hold on. Are you sharing news with me before it comes out?
Nah.
Oh, hold on. It came out already.
It came out, yes. But that's what, so I was like, a lot of people were like calling me and all the stuff, and I had to shoot something. And I was just like, there was so much going on this morning, but I am so excited. Thanks, people. Of course. Well, I'm so excited to be one of the finalists. No matter what, I just want to have fun. I want to share some laughs with people, and I want to be able to, make people laugh that probably aren't familiar with my work. And I think that this is an opportunity to be like, hey guys, it's me.
Yes. Go support Sasha this Friday. Go. I believe you can get the tickets on New York Latino Film Festival.com.
Yes.
There are limited tickets, so go grab them before they sell out. And then you and 4 other finalists can be competing.
I know. I've never
on the Entre series
before. I've never done one before.
You're gonna be fine. Just relax, take in the moment.
I mean, I'm so excited.
Do you get to have walkout music? Because if you do, can I say Selena? Can I nominate a Selena song?
Yeah, I should be like, "Baby, oh, cacha, boga poquito, no vayas a dejar." Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, like, it was just good news, especially because everything that's been going on in the year, I didn't know if they were still gonna do it, and then I submitted, and like you were one of the people that were like, "Yo, man, you should do it. You should do it." And I think that a lot of people were pushing me, and I'm so grateful for it. I was nervous because I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to think about it. But I am really grateful that I had the opportunity to now do it in front of so many other people.
Awesome. I'm excited for you. So yeah, go get the tickets, people. Don't mess around. They're gonna sell out, and you're gonna miss your chance.
You?
So happy for you. I'm good. I'm still on the East Coast, still in this cold. I've had to buy. I've had to buy gear, Sasha. I've had to buy gear because you know how I like to run in the mornings. I had to buy winter running gear. I've got gloves now. I've got winter hat.
Wow.
I'm a step away from buying this thing, the thing that just all across where you look like you almost like a condom, the running condom, with just your eyes.
You look like a little
I'm this close, yeah.
Oh my god.
I've got pants. I've got a vest. It's awful.
So when you run, are you still running like 7-10 miles or?
Yesterday I did 6. Today I did 3 just to loosen my legs up, and I'm hoping tomorrow to put in a long one. But it's not cute in the cold. It's not cute in the cold.
Dude, so when are you coming back? Are you ever gonna come back here?
Yeah, I'm coming back. We'll after the holidays. So that was that was the main reason we got out of LA. Is just we didn't want to be alone for the holidays, so we're here. The kids are enjoying it. My mother's actually now with the kids, so they got to see their grandparents, and that's a whole different story because my mother now acts like she had a different childhood with me. Like can I give them candy? I'm like, it's 9 a.m. Did you give me candy at 9 a.m?
Oh my
like,
God.
you know that. Like, how do you forget the rules now? Now that you're a grandparent now. But my mother's so gangster. She slipped my kid a $50 bill in his hand. I was like, he's 8. What are you doing? Like, she was like reaching his palm, like, here you go, mijo. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh my
a whole different level now.
That's so funny. So your mom is just like being the one that's like super carefree, and you're just being the Mr. Strict Pants.
Yeah, she's dropping candy. She's dropping cash. I'm like, who are you?
What did you become father? Like, where you getting all this money?
Yeah. What you get, mijo? What do you want? I'm like, yo.
Well, it's like, you know, when you become a parent, your parents just become like just this carefree, and they're like, you know what? You know, at the end of the day, that's your kid, and I don't have to be the bad guy. I don't have to be the bad guy like how I was with you. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it makes me want to come home sooner though. I'm just like, I can't, because now my kids are hopping off the wall with singles. Like, Grandma was here.
So did you guys buy a whole bunch of gifts? Like, how is that? How are you guys doing it now?
Well, that like me and my wife are still very like, like we don't want to buy too many gifts for Christmas because we have to ship it all back. But of course, the grandparents are going wild. Like they're having a competition amongst themselves. I'm the better grandma. No, I'm the better. But they're not saying it verbally. They're just doing it in stuff that they buy. Just yeah.
You guys are gonna come.
So get ready.
Truck. You guys are gonna have to have a separate plane just for all the toys.
Just for the stuff. Just for the junk.
Dang. I wish, man, this year I'm like, you know what? I would buy you a gift, but there's a pandemic. And like, that's not everybody. Like, you know, I would buy you something, but, you know.
that's the excuse I was going with. Listen, the pandemic. Pandemic took your gift.
I was going to give you this, but, you know, there's a pandemic. My pockets, they're low. But you know, it's
I put up a meme the other day, but I'm like, I'm glad my father, like I was a little kid during this pandemic because I know he would have like, mira, Santa got COVID, papi. Papi, he got the COVID. You know, not this year.
Another thing, yeah, that would definitely be my dad. My dad would have done the same thing. But I feel like like that's my brother.
Oh, that's your brother?
Yeah.
Is this one of the influences to look what you doing to Ma?
Yeah,
what you doing to
he's one of the influences. This brother right here, he's the funniest ever. Like every time he talks, every other word is a punchline, and he doesn't realize that he does that. Like he's just like so funny. Like there was one time, during Thanksgiving, right? We were all together and stuff, and my nephew, we hear like this really thumping sound, right? In the room, and so we run, and then we see that he dropped a weight, and it was like 5 or 10 pounds, and we looked at him and we were like, you know, at first we were worried, but now like, you dropped a 10-pound, like what are you, weak, you know? And so it was like, you know, we went from being worried to like roasting him, and then my brother was like, see, that's why we tell you it's very important to take your vitamins because you need to be strong. So he's just like one of those people that he's always, I don't know how he does it, but he's always got like the punchlines.
Stop it. You're the queen. I'm proud of you. You know what? We're all proud of Sasha. I'm excited you're in the top 5, and I can't wait for everyone to see you do your thing, girl.
Have you seen my stand-up actually?
I've seen clips of it. I've never seen you live. I think there was that. Was it last year for the New York Comedy Festival? You opened for Ida.
Yes.
And I was supposed to be there, but I got stuck at another show, so I had just missed you.
Would have seen me. You would have seen me. Yeah, I mean,
I would have seen it.
I think that stand-up comedy for me is something that I like. I really enjoy. You know, I really enjoy. Sometimes, you know, I remember having like a really bad crowd one time, and I don't know if I just didn't care about them or whatever, but I just kept on making them part of my set. Like I was like, yo, what y'all talking about over there? Can y'all tell me what y'all talking about since y'all interrupted me, you know? And then they'll just like find that funny. And I think something about that is just what I really miss. So one of the things that I wonder is like, how is it gonna be? You know, like that's gonna be a new experience, and I'm excited about it.
Because you guys are doing it, I believe, at the In-Crowd Theater, which is just for the performers in front of a virtual wall. Am I wrong?
Or a parking lot.
So it's a virtual wall, so the audience is there, but it's virtually. Everything is virtual. But
I'm
it's
excited.
gonna be good. You're gonna be. I'm excited for you.
I'm always performing in phone. What's the difference? I'm always performing for this. There's no difference.
Are you ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
So go follow Sasha Merci. And go support her. Go get tickets on Friday. Again, the website is NewYorkLatinoFilmFestival.com. And we're gonna talk about the show on Monday. Friday's show that you're doing, we're gonna talk about on Monday, next Monday. So tune in next Monday so we can talk and we can recap what happened.
I'm really nervous. I am really nervous. I'm excited, but I'm super nervous because it's like that Nate Robinson scared.
Don't compare yourself to Nate Robinson.
That was like, I'm gonna do this for my family and my friends and all this stuff, and I'm gonna show you what we're about. And then like stone cold, right? So I'm like, oh my god, hopefully I do better.
The one tweet I saw was like, I'm doing it for my NBA brothers and I'm doing it for my kids. Like, yo, I would not put that pressure on this kid because them kids now are just go clean your room. Who you calling? You know who I'm calling. I'm gonna call Jake Paul. What?
Right.
Shut up. Dad, hey, Uncle Jake, Dad's acting up again.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's why I'm just like, you know what? No matter what, I just want to have fun. I just want to keep on doing what I always do, and like it's all about making people laugh, making people feel good, and like,
yeah,
I'm excited.
All right, I'm excited for you. So Friday's the day, guys. Go check it out. And this has been another episode of Brownish. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was dope talking to Jaime and hearing about his company Campanario and talking about Netflix's #1 show right now, Selena, the series.
Super inspiring. That was very inspiring.
So tune in next week. I don't know if should we have a guest or should we just talk about your Friday show?
I think we should just talk about. We should have a episode just me and you. I think.
Let's do next Monday. Just an in-house, just the family right here.
Let's do it.
And we're gonna talk everything.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm for it. Right. I think it's perfect.
All right. So next week, guys, tune in.
Bye, guys.
Have a